We went to see Jeremy today. It was interesting to say the least. When we opened the door, when we managed to get up there, we used bikes that Dave found in his garage that we used to have when we were younger. Because when he went and accessed these bikes, he told us to be safe. He had already given us location. He basically, apparently, it was a sad story. He claimed that apparently his youngest daughter, died. We asked him what he thinks could have happened. He simply went on to explain and basically started talking about how he thinks his daughter is bloodflower. Because apparently he recalled having dreams. He started having dreams of her calling out to him, talking to him, trying to communicate. And it seemed like it was working, that he could communicate with her via dreams. Of course, then he tried to acknowledge about how silly and crazy that sounded. We quickly nodded our heads, saying no, understanding, because we've seen a lot of paranormal things. We asked him how any ways we could fix this problem. He just stood there, deep in thought. Deep in thought. Deep in thought. Until eventually he brought up that he believed it's supernatural. He said, to be honest, we weren't really catching on much. He basically said that maybe if we managed to somehow kill bloodflower, not only would it protect people's lives, but maybe it might set her soul free somehow. And then he explained that in his dreams, it always seemed like she was behind a locked door. That she was behind the locked door. It seemed like she was behind some kind of locked door. And he always tried to ask her if she was okay, and she kept asking him to let her out, to save her. He would constantly tell her, he kept telling her that he'll keep trying, and he kept trying. And stuff like that. I quickly tried to ask him how we could potentially do this. He was in the middle of talking about potentially using the Ouija board when all of a sudden all the lights cut out. We just stood there. He stood there, dazed, confused. Of course, then he started freaking out, going around talking, and then he started exclaiming that apparently he thinks it's bloodflower. And then we heard that all too familiar giggle, slightly demonic giggle. Yeah, it was bloodflower. We all of a sudden started quiet. She came out shortly after. We quickly got behind Jeremy. She just stared at us, but it was weird. She still had her bandages on. And all three of us watching horror, as in as all of a sudden her little hands, they became little blood size, like miniature size. Blood size, and she just she cut at the bandages. And when the bandages fell, we were shocked to see her eyes. I guess it's worth noting that earlier she tried to attack us. But what happened was Chris stabbed her. He got a dagger. He found a dagger that case in case all invaders came, and he stabbed her in the eyes. At least 4 times each or something. Her eyes, they looked really bloodied, but nonetheless it was pretty obvious that she could still see again. This time she actually started speaking. It sounded like a little girl's voice, but it was a little like it was a bit of a demonic. It was demonic. But not like super demonic, but definitely a little creepy voice. I didn't appreciate you stabbing me in the eyes. Did you really thought that would stop me? Then she just started giggling. She started giggling creepily. Of course, I could tell Chris was starting to not only worry, but I could tell he was starting to think of something. Of course, which sounds good on paper. But when I say that, I mean it's like he was going to do something. He tried to, of course, Jeremy tried to keep his cool. It was pretty obvious that he was scared. It was pretty obvious he was scared shitless. And he was trying not to show it. She giggled again and said, I know you're scared. They started rapidly giggling, tee-hee and ha-ha-ha and stuff like that. Creepy shit, of course. I could sense that Chris was reaching for something, and he wanted us to keep it a secret. He was planning on doing something. Of course, I didn't want to do something that would ruin it, so I quickly tried to ask her what she wanted from us. So we immediately started asking her what she wanted from us. She giggled, and she just giggled for like 30 seconds. And eventually she said, Isn't it obvious? I want blood. I need blood. Blood, blood, blood. I want blood. Why don't you just stay in the game? You already got plenty of blood from killing those zombies. She looked at me with those dark eyes of hers. In fact, it was so creepy I kind of wish I hadn't spoken. I was especially more disturbed that the fact that with reality, coming to terms with reality, and reality is situation being she was right there in front of us. After it seemed like we were just staring at each other for the longest time. And all of a sudden she spoke. Yeah, true. But it wasn't giving me enough. I want more. Why are you doing this? I asked. Of course, I gotta admit, I did have a bit of fear in my voice. Because I'm just trying to get blood so I can survive. And of course, Chris eventually spoke up and said one word. Amy? She immediately looked at him. And that's when all of a sudden it seemed like all of a sudden her face just lit up. Her smile grew a bit wider, supremely wider. So you know me, Chris? And he said, "Oh no, I'm just guessing." I could tell he was definitely trying to keep calm with the reality of the situation dawning on him, but to no avail. He tried desperately to stay calm. And that's when Chris finally made his move. And I saw what he was going for. There was secretly a dagger behind the fiddle, behind the couch that we were laying on. He quickly picked it up and quickly sliced at her. He had a square right in the eye, her right eye again. Blood gushed down all over the place. But he didn't just stop there. He kept stabbing her. He stabbed her multiple times. Even when she was on the ground. It was scary. I didn't know who to be more scared of. Chris or Bloodflower. He didn't stop stabbing her. No, it wasn't just that. He also was freaking out, yelling at the top of his lungs like he was fucking Rambo or something. He had the dagger in two hands now, constantly stabbing her in the face. Then eventually started chopping up different things, attacking her neck and everything. And then she started fighting back. It was a very bloody scene. I knew I had to help. I wanted to help Chris, so I quickly grabbed the nearest thing I could find, which was a vase. I smashed it over her. I smashed it over her head. Over her head. She stumbled a little. That's when all three of us, including Jeremy, we all started wailing on him. It was crazy. Part of the craziness was the fact that it seemed like we were all working together. Until we kept stabbing her, and eventually she kept stabbing. Eventually, after what seemed like an hour of fighting her, we could tell she was getting weaker. That was when Chris yelled at me to get out of the way. I did just in time. But that was the thing. He managed to get out of the way in time, sure. But what happened, what I saw next was horrifying. To put it quite simply, she literally just, she all of a sudden grew a random scythe. A scythe, which she then just, well, impaled him with. She tried to attack him, but she knew she couldn't do it. But that was when she all of a sudden got this large blade made out of blood, almost like the one, like she kind of did that thing that she did before. Except this time, it featured something worse. This time she actually impaled Chris. That me and Jeremy. But at first, I thought it was Chris, but it was actually Jeremy. I don't know. My vision started getting blurry from everything that was going on. I think it was getting ready to faint. I was starting to faint. But I don't know what was going on. All I know is that what happened, I do remember, was Jeremy died. Jeremy just laid there, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, we were looking at two dead bodies. Two dead bodies. We were looking at two distinct bodies. Two distinct bodies. One was bloodflowers. The others was Jeremy's. There was no denying this. There wasn't any sort of denying what happened. He was dead. The next thing we heard a cop car outside. Jefferson ran in, yelling out what happened. Of course, all the lights came back on that time. And we saw that it was Jefferson. He looked at the bodies. He just stared at them. He asked us what happened. We quickly tried to explain it. But then he told us he held up a hand to silence us. I think I know what happened. He sacrificed himself to save you, didn't he? We nodded. A brief hero's sacrifice. I didn't know what to say. Dave came back shortly after. Obviously scared. We looked at her, but I gotta say, one of the creepiest parts was her body. Dave was gonna be there soon enough, but me, Chris, and Jefferson watched. We looked at the body, and that's when it happened. That's when it happened. It happened so suddenly. It just happened so suddenly. her body kind of melted into a pool of blood. It just turned to a pool of blood. We just stood in silence, and then I thought that was gonna be the end of it, but then all of a sudden, I swear, I promise you, I'm not making this shit up. A little girl's ghost, a spirit, actually came out of it. She looked at us. She looked like she was around 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old, with brown hair, green eyes, which actually had blood coming down them. But she seemed to have no looking eyes. She had no legs. She was floating. She looked at us both and she smiled at us. She did a little giggle, but it didn't sound demonic. It never sounded demonic. It didn't sound demonic. It was actually normal. It was definitely creepy. Thank you. Thank you, she said. But we didn't hear it through our heads. And we didn't actually hear it. It was like she was trying right for our minds. It was creepy. Then all of a sudden, she started drifting upwards. We saw this big bright light. All of a sudden, a big bright light. A large light came out of nowhere. I think that was heaven. A large staircase, golden staircase, was there. All of a sudden, she had legs. And all of a sudden, next thing we knew, we were watching as she was climbing up the stairs, those golden stairs. After she got to a certain point, she just disappeared. She disappeared. It was terrifying. Before any of us could wonder what was happening, we all just stood there. I knew we were both all confused, especially with what the fuck we just saw. Did we just see a little girl? Chris was the first to speak up. Did we just see a little girl's spirit go to heaven? Or is it just me? Jefferson replied next. Nope. I don't think we were imagining things, kid. Oh. Because for a second I thought I was imagining things. You and me both, brother, I said. I don't know what came over us. All of a sudden this feeling overwhelmed us. It wasn't a scary feeling, it was a feeling of happiness, of peace, happiness, joy. All of a sudden, we all just tears started, water came down our eyes. I think it was crying or something. It was like we were crying or something. Crying or something. I guess we were all happy that the nightmare was finally over. Dave came by shortly after, confused, worried. He asked us about bloodflower. He asked us what happened to him. Of course, that was only after the screaming. We semi-laughed at it. Not because it was funny, seeing this one of his best friends, this lifelong friend, childhood friend's dead. But he actually screamed like a little girl. but it actually screamed like a little girl. He started laughing too. I think we were all just feeling a little giggly in a good mood. We explained everything that happened. All of a sudden, another person came in. It kind of looked like a priest. He saw everything, but he didn't panic or freak out. Apparently Dave had gone to see another one of his friends. We asked him who he was, and he claimed he was Jimmy. He said that he had converted to Christianity. We asked him what we started explaining what happened, and he told us to be quiet because he was going to explain to us what happened. He said that apparently we were right. Amy's soul was trapped in there. And what actually happened was that she actually went to heaven. So, but I guess I gotta say, man, I guess you could say it kind of has a happy ending. But we've moved on now. I'm just fucking happy. I'm just happy that this nightmare was over. It was kind of nice. Partially because, of course, I guess partially because, well, I guess if a little girl's soul did go to heaven. I don't know about his soul, but if anything, I'm definitely hoping that Jeremy's soul went to heaven too. We all decided to have pizza at night. Jefferson said he was going to file a case for a good burial. A good burial. That's all I can really remember. Of course, I think I've said that. I gotta say, I was 17 at that time. Now these days I'm in my I think I'm like 38 years old. Chris is 39 years old. We're almost in our 40s. I still remember that. I don't have any kids. I'm single. I used to have one girl, but when I told her a story, she thought I was some kind of creepy guy. Chris died a week ago. I saw on the news. Apparently he had some kind of heart attack or something. But turns out that was actually false information. He did die, but I guess apparently they're not really giving out details of his death. It sucked. But at least everything's fine, normal now. Come be with us, Troy. What the? Amy. No. I can't. I gotta be seeing things. I'm seeing things. You're not seeing things. Come join us. Be with Chris and us in heaven. Oh, Amy. Amy, what are you doing? I'm being, you're gonna see, we're gonna meet God. We're gonna be happy in heaven together. Reggie, Amy, what are you talking about? I'm texting this. Call 911. I'm choking. What? Amy, stop. This is Amy Schaefer with news. Breaking news. In other news, a 35-year-old Troy was found dead in his bedroom approximately 5 hours ago. Symptoms claim that apparently police paramedics have claimed that he supposedly died during a heart attack. Which also a heart attack. A heart attack. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it might be a heart attack, but I never heard of a heart attack that makes a person bleed out of his fucking mouth and choke on his own blood again. Alright, Smithens, what are we looking at here? Well, it looks like a victim in a heart attack. Judging by head trauma here, seems like his head bounced on that once he died. It seems like Troy here is trying to get out. Well, can you get any security footage? We managed to find some security cameras that they apparently set up. We'll review the footage. Yeah, we've already reviewed the footage, and it seems like he was talking about someone named Amy. Oh, that's weird. What do you think? You think the guy was crazy? Well, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure at all. I don't know how to explain it to you. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's definitely weird. I'll give you that. Yeah, it is. Alright. Well, I guess there's nothing we can do for the lad. Get his body to the morgue. Yes, sir. Hey, sir, I found something. What'd you find? Well, from where I'm standing at, it kind of looks weird. It looks like some kind of, well, email things. There seem to be things of diary entries. Any idea where they might be going to, or? I'm not sure, sir. If I had to guess, I'd say that the best probability that I can personally think of. I say the only probability that I could think of. I think he was talking to people online about his experience of something called bloodflower. He's a pretty talented writer, is he? I don't think he was trying to out I don't think he was trying to make something up. Well, whatever case may be, just get back to work. I already sent in an autopsy report. Go ahead and have the night of this, the day off. But, sir, about this. Someone's already taken care of it. Who? Who's taking care of this project? I'm getting Jefferson on this. He'll talk to him. Jefferson? Damn, son. Looks like... No, Amy. It looks like playing yet another victim. I know you're there, Amy. Jefferson. I know what you want. Go on. Get it over already. With pleasure. Jefferson, what the hell? What? Hello? Sir? The officer's Jefferson's dead. What? What do you mean? It looks like he just choked. I think he just committed suicide. What are you talking about? I mean, he's not breathing. I think it looks like he's got his hands around his neck like he was choking himself. Get his ass to the hospital. How's he looking, Doc? Not good. My guess, if I had to guess, well, it looks like he indeed choked himself. This is weird. Perhaps I think we should get off this case. Get rid of the body. No one needs to know about this case. Alright. Yes, sir. I looked on. I continued my work. Something was definitely off about this case. People dying. I keep hearing the same thing. Amy. I don't know what's going on with this thing, but whatever the hell's going on. Whatever the hell's going on with this thing. Maybe it's all over now. It's been a couple years since their deaths. Maybe it's all over. At least, guy can only hope, right? I guess I'm gonna, this is probably gonna be the last thing I'm gonna put in before we burn it and destroy it. So, for all you folks out there listening to this thing or whatever, this bloodflower, have a nice night, y'all. And if you're ever asked, you don't know anything about this story. That's what they want you to believe, but I'm letting the story stay out. After all, I think it'll be nice. I think it'll be nice for these people's stories to be told. It's the least I can do in their honor. May you rest in, I hope you all rest in peace. Have a nice night, y'all. Stay safe out there.